Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We have a very juicy topic today, how to configure the sum insured, or what could also be called coverage in your health insurance policy for your client, and whether you should be buying one large cover, whether you should combine it with top-ups, whether you should consider NCBs, restorations, and whatnot as part of your sum insured. This is actually a continuation of a discussion that happened in the last webinar where a lot of people had many opinions about how a health insurance policy should be configured. Uh, Before I start, let me quickly talk about Beshak. I'm assuming a lot of people would already know about it, but I'll just take a half a minute to talk about Beshak. Beshak is a neutral community platform. We don't sell insurance or advertise insurance. We will never do that. We are basically interested and focused on bringing together the best, most well-meaning folks of the industry, from experts to financial advisors, uh, like people on the call right now, to empower clients to make regret-proof, worry-free insurance decisions. About me, I am Mahavi Chopra. I have around 16 years of experience in the retail insurance distribution space. I have also set up claims processes, led insurer relationships, large distributors. I will basically be sharing my learnings. The agenda for today is I'll be taking around 15 minutes time to basically set the context, post which we have a lot of people whom I have invited as speakers who will also share their views and their story about how they look at insurance. There are people like Anuj Jindal, who's joined in today, who's one of our the most supportive expert on our on our Beshak forum, the forum where you can ask questions. We have Manish Chauhan today, who's also someone who's been there and been contributing regularly. And thank you, Manish, for joining in and sharing his knowledge. And we also have Avinash Soni. Avinash Soni is also someone who has great, understanding of the subject because of the kind of passion he has about learning about insurance. And even Rohit Tingra. Thank you, Rohit. Thank you, all of you, for joining. I'm looking forward to learning from you about your views about the topic of today. As I said, this is not a one-sided lecture or some kind of a webinar where I am going to speak. My role largely is of an anchor. I am here to set the context for us to discuss this topic. It's a very important topic. I will share my learnings, and then I will basically want every one of us to like contribute so that we learn from each other. The recording and many other giveaways that we are basically building for this specific webinar series that we're doing will be available for people who have set up their profile on our platform as an advisor. We will create separate access for these people. So please go ahead and do ensure that you set up your profile to enjoy all these benefits. Okay, enough of introductions. Let's start. Uh, the topic of our discussion today is around how do you go about configuring your health insurance policy uh, so that you have create extract the maximum benefits out of the product, and also ensure that the product is relevant for a long period of time. Before we do that, I have a few things that I wanted to share, and this is largely about my thoughts about how much cover one should buy. All that we are going to discuss is finally going to boil down to what is the amount of cover that are people who are on the call who are basically buying policy for themselves, or people who are buying or recommending or advising insurance for their families, or for their clients. Uh, what is the cover that they should be looking at, right? So because we are talking about something which is 30 years from now, if we are looking at health insurance, we typically is a policy that you buy for almost your entire lifetime, right? So you most of the people who buy health insurance buy the health insurance at the age of, let's say, 28, 30 to 32. This is the experience I have had. Typically after marriage, people start realizing the importance of having a health insurance and go ahead and buy insurance. And then, because the policy is constructed such that you can renew this policy for a lifetime, this policy remains relevant for your lifetime, right? The cover hence becomes a very, very important point and a very, very in the decision making process of buying health insurance. Whether you should buy health insurance which is relevant for today, or whether you should buy health insurance which is relevant for the time when you need it, is something that obviously most of you would have read about. But I will still, just for clarity and context setting, it is very clear that health insurance is supposed to be bought for your old age and it should be relevant for that age. One is because at that time is when you will need the cover and need it the most. And second is it is very tricky and risky for you to take a small cover and depend upon upgrades that you will do at a later stage or a later age. If there is any kind of obviously disease or any kind of lifestyle issues that are occurring at that time, or insurers become strict or underwriting becomes strict, you could be left with a small cover for all your life. So typically, what at least I recommend to people who are on our platform, who come on our platform, and if I'm answering the question, I always recommend a health insurance which is relevant for 30 years, at least 30 to 40 years, because that is the time the person will actually want to use health insurance, right? Healthcare inflation is not going to go down. It is something that is very, very clearly written on the wall. This is what obviously in today's trend and the linear thought that I have from that, I'm obviously saying this. Popular hospitals that everyone wants to throng to will always remain over capacity, won't be impacted in the near future by any kind of competition. You look at all the big hospitals that are popular in your area, they don't have to worry about how much they are billing, because usually uh, they are people who have more demand and less supply, right? At the same time, if you look at it, there is another issue that I want to basically touch upon, is that the world is definitely proven with the pandemic. It's proven that the world is not linear, right? As much as we want it to be, the world is not something that you can predict in 30 years. Whether, meaning, I'm going to say things which will right now sound very ridiculous, but probably healthcare will become free, right? Or become so expensive that whatever calculations we do on the inflation side may become irrelevant, right? One pandemic, right? Just one this large pandemic event that has happened has shook up all our calculations. Right now, we don't know what is going to happen in the next 2 years. We definitely cannot we cannot really predict what is going to happen in 25, 30 years from now. That's very clear. So while we are aware of this, while we know this is something that is a possibility, that whatever predictions we make, there's a good chance that we are going to maybe just uh, not be able to predict because of the kind of uncertainties that can arise. uh, there are so many books that talk about this, right? There is a book which is written by Yuval Nahari, which is basically talking about Harari, sorry, which talks about how bioengineering will improve healthcare, but it will become so expensive that it will be out of reach for a lot of middle class and lower middle class and poor people, right? So longevity can be linked to the kind of money you have or the kind of insurance you have. The other important question that we will take up today is about how to go about configuring your health insurance. When there are so many options that are available, if you include your company policy, you include the personal policy that you have, then there are options like super top up, you have restore option, whether you should consider restore as a part of the main policies cover or not consider. Then there are loyalty based no claim bonuses that are available, whether you should consider that as part of your health insurance or whether you should not, are the things that we will discuss today. Yeah. So I'm not going to take a lot of time today in setting the context. I think most of us know the importance of configuring health insurance right for our clients. But at the same time, what I just mentioned was a prelude to whatever we are discussing today. There are chances that while we solve for the problem in a linear way, we still will have to consider the fact that how do we take care of issues that we are not able to predict, right? That's something that I will take up while we discuss. I'm going to start the discussion with a couple of people who have I had invited today to discuss this specific topic. The first thing that I wanted to understand, and I'm going to ask each of the people who are invited as speakers, in all the uncertainty that we just spoke about, right? First question that I want to ask is that usually, from your point of view, how much is the cover, is the adequate cover that you recommend to your clients? I will first invite Manish Chauhan. Manish, I'm going to invite you to speak, and then gradually a couple of other people will also speak about the same topic. Yeah, Manish, what are your views about how much is the cover that uh, you usually would recommend to someone, and why?
Thanks, Mahavir. Thanks for inviting. Can you listen to me?
Yeah, yeah, we can listen to you.
Okay. So, right now, to our clients, we are already telling them that they should have a up to 30 lakhs of health insurance, 30. Now
Okay.
we are very sure that no, like very less number of people will be buying a base policy of 30 lakhs. So what we
Right.
recommend them is a 10 lakh of base policy plus a 20 lakh of super top up, so that they have a good enough cover. Plus the premium wise also, it's not very heavy on the pocket. So we are currently recommending 30 lakhs because we look at the worst case scenario, and right now if you look at any big hospitalization, it can go up to like 10, 15, 20. We have seen cases even in my team itself. One of the team members father was to be hospitalized, and the quote given was 40 lakh rupees. It was something very serious, and it was 40 lakh rupees. That I
Wow.
know that is an extreme case, that is a very extreme case, I know, but that is what we are covering for, right? We generally take insurance mainly to cover these extreme cases only. So,
Right.
however, the average claim which are there, they are generally in the range of what, 2 3 lakh rupees, 4 lakh rupees. I have myself claimed 3 times till now in within my family, for myself, for my wife, and all the claims were below 1 lakh rupees. So I
Right.
know that on an average it will not be very very high amount, but yeah, to cover the extreme, it can go up to 8 9 10 15 lakh rupees. So just to be on the safer side, and to make sure we also cover next 10 to 15 years, we recommend 30 lakh rupees.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in this, you said that you basically recommend a combination of top up and individual. Sorry, top
Yes.
up and a base cover, and this is the configuration you basically recommend to your clients. Is
Yes.
the same thing whether you
We.
typically look for family floater as an option or an individual as
Yeah.
an option? What is
No, no,
the view
we
there?
recommend family floater itself. And when we say 30 lakhs, if a person can take a very high base cover, they can afford it, and they totally understand the whole health insurance dynamics, then we say, okay, go ahead with the 20 lakh cover or a 30 lakh cover if they are ready to. However, in real life, most of the people are not okay with very high premium. So then we say that, okay, then in that case, 10 lakhs of base plus 20 lakhs of super top up is a decent combination. But there are
Right.
people who go for a 20 lakh base cover or 30 lakh base cover. There are people who also take just a 15 lakh cover and not take a top up. So there are all kind of people. But from our side, from
Right.
advice point of view, we always say that 30 lakhs of cover is something you should go for at the moment.
Got it. Got it. Thank you, Manish. I'm going to ask Anuj. Anuj, are you there? One second. Yeah, Anuj. Yes, Anuj.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, Mahavir.
So the same question I'm going to ask a couple of you guys. What is the cover that you think is the in a linear scenario, and in a scenario where we are talking about in basic the current inflation that is going on? Typically, based on that, what is the usual suggestion or recommendation that you give to your clients about the sum insured?
Okay, so I've been into healthcare for the last 10 years. I've worked in hospitals. I'm in Bangalore. I worked in some of the most expensive hospitals in the region, so I know
Right,
how the costs operate. I have also run a claims company for last 5 years, so I know the length and breadth of the range of costs involved for the same treatment across multiple formats of hospitals, not just in Bangalore but outside as well. And so I completely agree with observations of Manish that uh, on uh, on a general sense, the maximum that we see people spending is about 3 lakhs.
right,
The average, the data suggests that on an average in metro cities, people spend about 1.75 lakhs on the treatments. but you once you bring in national data, then the blended average definitely goes down. But
Mhm.
since I believe that the larger chunk of audience would be metro based, or the risk of deciding is on the higher side for the metro guys, so I think 1.75 lakhs as an average is a good enough parameter for anybody to look at in 2021. Okay. Now I see the same recommendation that Manish gives in a little different manner.
Mhm.
So if I am talking to somebody who is in the 30 to 40 age bracket, so yes, Mahavir, they will be married to the policy for about 30 years, right? And
Right.
so such people could start at anywhere between 5 lakh to 10 lakh. I generally do not advise people to go very high. Just take a base plan, 5 to 10 lakhs, and plans with very high aggregation of no claim bonus. So any plan which allows you 100% no claim bonus is perfect enough. So the same advice that Manish gave, 30 lakhs is the edge case. Great. So you buy a 15 lakh cover, because another 15 lakh via no claim bonus you get free of cost. So you can actually buy a 15 lakh base cover with a 15 lakh no claim bonus opportunity over the next 4 to 5 years, and you are sorted in life. Now, this advice of 5 to 10 lakhs is for people who are unmarried or married, and in the people who are buying in the age range of 30 to 40, 45. People who are 50 and above,
Mhm.
they either have a PED or they are at a higher risk of starting on to a PED. So they may lose out on the chance of being able to buy another policy later on or increasing their cover. So such people who are 50 and above, I normally suggest them that do not go beyond 15 lakh. With a 100% local and bonus, you are sorted in life. You get 30 lakh cover, and which is, you don't need a super top up with that. Of course, there are people who do not trust insurance, and that is why this entire phenomenon of my view is that people are buying more insurance cover, 30 lakh, 50 lakh, 1 lakh, because they do not trust insurance companies. And because of that worry, they just like buying left, right, and center ki le lo ek bari mein, baad mein mile na mile. These are very finicky companies. So that's how people are sort of getting in. Also, along with this, and because there are some advisors on this call, uh, there are two other aspects that we should also keep in mind. Insurance. So that's where I disagree with you, Mahavir, or my observation has been a little different. That insurance is not, unfortunately, a product for old age, because insurance companies quote the premium so high that we cannot potentially renew the plans. So it has to be a blended approach. If you are charging 80,000 rupees for a 5 lakh rupee premium, nobody is sensible enough to pay that kind of an amount at the age of 70, because they don't have that much kind of savings to be paying premium. So the ideal thing to do, and the earlier or the younger we get somebody to look at it, is that while you are running, you are 30, 40, 45 years of age, build another cash portfolio for yourself up to about 10, 15 lakhs for your old age. Do not touch it. Keep it for your healthcare cost, and then buy insurance largely to cover your expenses during your younger age, younger time, so that it protects your savings, your ability to save money for your older age. And the second thing to also look at is the way Manish quoted the example of COVID expenses. You would have seen that there has been a major spike in the kind of donations people were asking for on various donation platforms. So there are certain outlier expenses which I think one should not really worry about insurance or savings. Those have to be built via community, uh, and specifically for people who need it desperately. And I think donation platforms. So it's a blend of insurance, cash, and donation platforms is something that I would highly recommend to anyone.
Right. Thank you, Anuj. And just to add, and I did not introduce Anuj because I think whoever has been to Beshak would have known him, but I'll still introduce Anuj because he's come on this webinar for the first time. Anuj basically is the co-founder and CEO of a company called Sure Claim, which basically is in the business of assisting customers with health insurance claims. And correct me if I'm wrong, Anuj, if something, if I've gone wrong, you can
Yes, that's the only
add.
thing that, that I do.
Right. Anuj, there are 2 points that you made, which are something that we would like want to stretch a little bit before we go forward. One is that you are saying that 15 lakh enough है, उसके ऊपर savings रखो, and if someone is basically buying a cover of more than this amount, you are basically saying that you don't trust insurance companies. The point is that it is always going to be difficult for anybody to predict whether how insurance companies are going to react in the future. It is very easy to degrade your cover. Uh, Sorry, there is some background noise. Can you go on mute, please? People who are not talking. Yeah. I'm saying that for a person to degrade his cover is much easier an option than a person to upgrade the cover. Let's say if there is any kind of PED or a pre-existing disease that comes in. So from that point of view, my view has always been this is because we are not aware of the real expenses that are going to be incurred in the long run about health insurance or healthcare. My view is also of the same. I go with the same view of saying that buy as much cover that you can afford. Always there is an option for you to be able to degrade whenever you want to degrade. It's going to be very, very difficult for you to upgrade. Let's say if there are some kind of events like this that happen, like a pandemic that happens, right? So from that perspective, it is super, super important in my view to take a cover that you can afford, and that cover could be 30 lakhs, 50 lakhs, or even a crore, with the clear understanding that in case the premium becomes unaffordable at a specific period of time, you can downgrade. At the same time, you understanding the fact of the matter is that if there is a disease that comes into picture, then you will never be able to upgrade. A person who has, let's say, a 10 lakh cover today, and he has, let's say, reports diabetes and hypertension both, and let's say at the age of 50, if he goes to an insurance company and asks for an upgrade, there are good number of chances that he will not get an upgrade. And that is the time when you are basically going to look for a very large cover, and because of which you need to take it when you get it, is the opinion I have. People who are listening to this, there are two different opinions, and it's important for you to understand both these opinions. One opinion that Anuj has is about having other support functions in place, like having community and savings in place, and buying a sum insured which is optimized with the current inflation calculation and based on basically what is the current hospitalization, that is expenses that people are seeing. The other way to look at it would be to go and look at the customer's paying capacity, the client's paying capacity, and recommend the highest cover they can go for, primarily for the view, the main view that we really don't know what is going to happen in the next 30 years. We don't know what is going to happen in the next 5 years, in my view. And from that perspective, my view is that you should look at a higher cover than a lower cover. Uh, I'm going to ask Hitesh to join in. Hitesh, can you raise your hand so that I can allow you to speak?
Yeah,
Yeah.
hi.
Yes, Hitesh. Hitesh
Am I
also comes
audible?
yeah, Hitesh, you're audible, and so we are basically talking about sum insured as a calculation and how much cover should people take. And I'm sure you've been hearing about what we are talking about. What is your view about the health insurance coverage, and how do you go about recommending health insurance coverage for your clients?
So yeah, thanks Mahavir for inviting me first of all. And as we talked about coverage, what is most ideal, so I would agree with what Manish and Anuj said that we can go with 15, 20, 30 or kind of lakh. What we do ideally is we go with the 10 lakhs base cover and then we add a top up to it, and 50 lakhs or 30 lakhs, anything is fine. The price bracket which we have observed is hardly few thousands or maybe few hundreds difference is there between 30 or 50. So our
Exactly.
ideal combination is 10 plus 50.
Right.
Having said that, one thing that I have always observed is there is a big class of population at the bottom of the pyramid which does not even afford a 5 lakh policy, and that is one of the most vulnerable class, because if something happens medical expenses are not even their cup of tea. So we still go to an extent to get a plan which is maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 lakhs, but sometimes a person with 10, 15,000 of earning a month cannot afford that. So in that case, seeing a person's profile, we may go to extent that we can give him a accidental hospitalization policy, which is a
Correct.
low cost,
Sorry,
and
yeah,
it
I'm cutting. Sorry, I'm cutting you there. Hitesh, we are purely talking about people who are reasonably good, well-to-do,
okay,
and
okay, okay, yeah,
people who can afford, because uh, that
I
is a
understand.
completely different sphere, right? Meaning that sphere is
Yeah, yeah,
completely different. We can maybe do a separate webinar on
I understand.
solving for problems of people who cannot afford insurance premiums.
Yeah,
Usually, we are talking about people who are reasonably well-to-do and can pay a 25,000 rupees premium a year.
yeah. So 10 plus 50 is the ideal combination that we do, considering
Okay.
the benefits that they give. So for a small, to quote a small example, premium of 10 plus 50 versus premium of 20 plus 50, wherein 50 lakh is a top up policy with 20 lakhs as a deductible.
Mm-hmm.
The difference would be very less amount, but the benefits that policy gives of 10 plus 50 is on higher side. If I consider medical checkup expenses or whatever. So the sweet spot is definitely 10 plus 50. In
Okay.
our experience, 90% of the business has been in the range of 10 lakhs. And if you ask me about claims, being from tier 3 city, our average claim amount is in the range of lakh or 1.5 lakh, and most of the claims are below lakh rupees. The average goes up for just because of single claim going in the range of 5, 7, 8 lakhs. But normally 35, 40,000, 50,000, 80,000 is kind of claims that we get here. In my all 15 years, there is only two times that the sum insured was not enough to cover the hospitalization. One was
Okay.
a 10 lakh plus 2 lakh bonus policy where expenses were 20 lakhs, and one was a 5 lakh policy with a bonus of 3 lakhs and expenses crossing around 12, 13 lakhs. So
Right.
yes, 90% of the times 10 lakhs policy, base policy is enough for most of the janta, is
Right.
my
Right.
opinion.
The reason why this conversation came into picture is there have been outliers, like what Manish mentioned, and I think even Anuj mentioned. There have been outliers where people have even had bills of, like, there is a Times of India article which is going around where there is a person who's hospitalized for close to 1.5 years in ICU, and the person has spent close to a crore rupees on his hospital bill, right? Uh, when people look at these kind of scenarios, right, and people see that what is the extent of the cover that we need, is something that comes up as a conversation very regularly with people who are aware of these kind of situations. There are two problems that we are solving with insurance, right? One is the problem when you do risk management, like we've discussed in the earlier webinars also, there are two problems. One is the problem of frequency, that how many times you are going to make a claim. And the second is the problem of severity, is how big that claim can be in the next 25, 30 years, given the fact that once you have an illness, probably you'll not be able to upgrade your cover. From that point of view, uh, taking the maximum cover available and the obviously and putting the affordability angle to it based on the person, is that not something that really makes sense? Meaning, for example, when you look at a 50 lakh cover with a 10 lakh deductible, and you look at and then a 10 lakh as a combination of a policy, and you even look at, let's say, getting a 1 crore cover, right, which is today available, and which has obviously the option of you being able to downgrade it whenever you want to, is not taking the maximum cover available, if it is affordable for that person, the best option?
So I definitely agree with what all of you say, and the basic problem with giving this kind of proposition was, अरे यार इतना थोड़ी पैसा लगता है कभी, at least pre-COVID days. But now after COVID and all, we have started explaining the importance of higher cover, and people have also started agreeing to it. And I definitely agree that getting at least 50 lakhs with a good no claim bonus, which takes you to maybe 1 crore, suffices your need. That's more than enough, and that is what even I give it to most of my clients. So yes, I totally agree that जितना जल्दी आप एक बार का ले सकते हो तो ले लो. And best part is in last few years top up policies have definitely come up with very affordable options,
Right.
so that even doesn't pinches you.
Right, right. Anybody else wants to add on to whatever we just spoke, from the people who have already spoken also, and from people who would like to speak? Please raise your hand so that I can uh, call you
Ma-
online to speak.
Mahavir, Manish here, can I add one or two
Yeah, yeah,
points?
please, 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 please.
So I like this idea, like this thing which we talked about, that abhi jitna chahiye utna le lo, because you can do something later. So base
Right,
policy, if someone, let's say someone takes a 10 lakh rupees base policy plus 1 crore of this super top up with 10 lakhs of deductible. So within few years, let's say after 4 or 5 years, he can always keep on trying to upgrade the base cover from 10 to 15, then from 15 to 10, sorry, 15 to 20. And the day he feels that I have extremely high cover, they can again downgrade the top up part. So you have the base policy where you are,
yeah,
upgrading the base, taking it up, and then you also have the choice of downgrading the super top up. So I think this is the good combination. One thing I want to ask is that we generally say that the healthcare inflation is around what, 11, 12%. Let's say it is 10%, for example. I just did a simple math, and if we say in 2021 that a decent cover is 10 lakh rupees, कि 10 lakh का तो cover होना ही चाहिए. If we
right,
just do a simple maths, 10% से अगर compound करेंगे inflation को, तो after 30 years it is coming around 1.74 crores. So
right, right,
what I'm trying to say is कि उस समय will we see a scenario where a 30-year-old person in 2051 will we be saying कि अरे अभी 1.5-2 करोड़ का तो नॉर्मल बेस पॉलिसी होना ही चाहिए. और अगर वो होगा, तो आज जो 10 लाख 20 लाख का पॉलिसी जो ले रहे हैं, जो बाद में अपग्रेड नहीं करेंगे, उतना ही रखा है, they are
right,
going to be extremely undercovered, right? And when they turn, like all the people who are in 30s and 40s, they will turn 60s and 70s, right, at that time. तो वो कैसे होगा, लाइक वो जम नहीं रहा है, मतलब ये जो मैथ्स है ना,
exactly,
वो जम नहीं रहा है. and
exactly.
and
Oh,
what Anuj,
yeah, sorry.
and one more point is what Anuj said in the start, right? For senior citizens it does not make sense. He said this. अगर
Hmm.
ऐसा है तो फिर आज जो 30 साल का है, 30-40 साल का आज जो है, वो जब 60 या 70 पे टर्न हो, मतलब when they turn 60 or 70, so will we see a massive drop off after 30 years? Are we going to see a massive drop off from the health insurance policy? Because if that happens, then it is going to extremely benefit the health insurance companies also only, right?
Right, right,
बिकॉज अभी तो यंग है, अभी तो क्लेम उतना आएगा नहीं, बाद में आने वाला है, और तब वो ड्रॉप कर जाएंगे क्योंकि प्रीमियम्स एंड अफोर्डेबल हो जाएंगे. व्हाट, so yeah, this is what I wanted to put.
exactly.
Just some thoughts.
Right. No, that's a very good idea actually, because you could gradually upgrade your base cover and maybe give away your super top up cover later.
I,
That is also
I
a good
have
idea.
a point here, Mahavir.
Yeah, Anuj.
So, Manish bhai, as you say,
Your voice
actually
is
there's some
echoing
echo.
actually. Yeah.
Okay, now it's fine. So, as Manish bhai said, increasing the base policy and reducing the deductible, I mean, increasing the deductible of top up, how does it make sense? I'm trying to understand because I have tried to do a lot of permutations, and let's say 10 lakhs plus 50 lakhs of top up costs somewhere around 20-25,000. And if I make the base policy 20 lakhs and top up with a deductible of 20 lakhs, it does not uh, give lot of benefit in that sense. And then whenever you increase your base policy, you don't get this ped or waiting period benefits to the increased portion. So does it not make sense to continue that combo of 10 plus 50? So is there any hitch in that? I'm asking from a
No,
question point of
Anuj,
view.
Anuj, what I was saying is कि if a
I'm
person
Hitesh.
is, oh, Hitesh, sorry, Hitesh,
Yeah.
what I was saying is that I'm just trying to create a structure where I am also on the safer side because I have a very large super top up. So I'm in a way safe. अगर मेरे को बाद में इंक्रीज करने नहीं मिला तो चलेगा, मेरे पास सुपर टॉप अप तो है ही वर्स्ट केस के
Hmm.
लिए. बट जहां तक पॉसिबल है, मैं अपनी बेस पॉलिसी को स्ट्रॉन्ग करना चाहता हूँ, लेकिन वो मैं आज नहीं कर सकता हूँ. आज मैं 1 करोड़ की बेस पॉलिसी नहीं लूंगा, अभी मैं स्मॉल नंबर से स्टार्ट करूंगा. सो एज एंड व्हेन
Hmm.
टाइम गोज, 5-6 साल बाद मैं 10 को 15 कर दूंगा, फिर उसको 20 कर दूंगा, भले वो व्हाट यू आर सेइंग इज द वेटिंग पीरियड, वो तो रहेगा, वो सब तो रहने ही वाला है, बट मैं एक लॉन्गर
हम्म।
पर्सपेक्टिव से, मैं एक स्ट्रक्चर, एक
So
स्ट्रैटेजी
so
की बात कर रहा हूँ।
so
या
but वो does it makes more economic sense to keep a higher uh,
no, I'm not going into, I'm not calculated
okay,
that, I don't know which
okay,
way
okay,
will be cheaper, क्योंकि
okay, got
अगर
it.
कोई, if one option is cheaper, वो बहुत ज्यादा मार्जिन से नहीं होगा, मैं उसमें
Okay,
प्राइस में
okay,
जा ही नहीं रहा हूँ।
okay.
या
So does it give
Yeah.
any other convenience of keeping a single policy? That was my question.
मतलब नहीं समझा मैं, आई डेंट गेट इट।
The convenience
So
of having one single policy is obviously that if they are not from from different insurance companies, obviously,
that's the
then
only
what
reason
happens?
to keep a higher base policy, right?
या
No,
यस,
no,
Got
एग्जैक्टली
it.
एग्जैक्टली।
and there are other benefits, right? There are you could actually have better eligibility based on the kind of cover that you buy. The eligibility could be different. You could actually be because you buy a better coverage. There
Got
are a
it.
lot
Got
of
it.
better benefits that could come your way because you have taken, let's say, a 20 lakh cover, like worldwide cover and all that is available at, let's say, 50
Understood.
lakhs, and those kind of things can be available. That's what I was thinking.
आई थिंक अदर देन, मतलब compared to everything else, I think uh, hassle of claiming it from two policies document, and that is itself a big thing. एक
Yeah.
पॉलिसी है, बहुत सिंपल है, वो सबसे बड़ा आई थिंक बेनिफिट होगा इन माय ओपिनियन।
Right.
Understood.
उस सिनेरियो में अभी क्या हो रहा है कि लॉट ऑफ पीपल आर बाइंग पॉलिसीज फ्रॉम द सेम कंपनी, राइट? In that scenario, this problem is a tad improved.
या
It helps a little bit because when both the companies are the same, then you don't have to do the process again, uh,
यस,
and it could actually help out. Yeah.
ट्रू ट्रू ट्रू।
Right. So, Crypto Knight, do you have a question? I'm going to allow you to speak. Hello.
I guess he has to unmute.
Yeah, Crypto Knight, you'll have to unmute to
Yeah.
speak.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Mahavir ji, my question is to you. This is regarding the base plan that goes up every year, that option that the insurer gives to increase the base plan every year by say 5 lakhs. Uh,
Okay. You're talking about no claim
so
bonus.
no claim bonus, not no, yeah, no claim bonus that accrues. However, you can pay some extra premium. For example, if you have a cover of around 10 lakhs, and then you can every year, like it happens in Star Health, wherein they recommend the customer that you can go for a higher plan now with 20 lakh cover or 15 lakh cover by paying some more premium. If your premium is around 15,000, you can pay 20,000 and you can upgrade your base plan itself.
Right.
So at this juncture, should we recommend super top up or doing this? That's one query. Also, if you could explain the deductible in super top up, it would be
Right.
great.
Yeah, sure. So,
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, I'm putting you on mute. Yeah. So the thing is that your first question is that insurers give you an option to upgrade your cover every year. That is something that is available vis-a-vis taking a higher cover today with a combination of super top up, which is better. It's very clear that insurers will give you such offers and approve such offers only when you do not have a health issue or any kind of medical history. As soon as there is a medical history, the chances of getting upgrades, based on my experience, at least what I know, actually go down significantly. So taking that risk or taking that assumption that I will remain healthy for till the age of 40, 45, I will not have any kind of disease, is something that you should be aware of if you're going with the route of upgrading your policy on a regular basis instead of buying a one full cover in one shot. I typically recommend people to buy one cover in full shot, whether it's a combination, whether it is one cover, that is something which is a separate story. But buying one cover is important. The second question that you have is what is deductible? Deductible basically is a threshold up to which then insurance company will not pay a claim and will pay claims only above that. So if you're talking about, let's say, a 5 lakh deductible and a 5 lakh policy, 5 lakh sum insured policy with a 5 lakh deductible, what it basically means is that first 5 lakhs, till you spend first 5 lakhs, the insurer is not going to be involved in the liability of paying claims. After 5 lakhs have been crossed in a specific year, after that, The remaining 5 lakhs is what is covered in the policy. So in this case, if you buy, let's say, a 5 lakh cover separately and a 5 plus 5 lakh sum insured plus deductible policy separately, you totally have a 10 lakhs cover, right? Which is one from the base policy, which is 5 lakhs, and the second is from this super top up, which says after 5 lakhs have been exhausted from the existing policy, which is basically what is called deductible, you can claim from the new policy. The deductible is very important to understand, is not part of the sum insured. It is something which is separate from the sum insured. So deductible is never to be calculated after minusing or subtracting the sum insured that has been mentioned in the super top up. These are two different things. The sum insured is the cover. The threshold or the deductible is basically the amount of losses or expenses you incur beyond which this policy will trigger. Does this actually help? If it help, okay, I'm going to.
Yes, it helps. I just wanted one small clarity. So the deductible can be paid from your base policy as well, right?
Yes, yes. That
Yeah.
is how people
Yeah.
are basically creating combinations.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Got it, got it, got
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
one
So
Thank you
one
so much.
one simple point is that the super top up is not aware about how you are paying. Like आपका है
Okay.
नहीं है उससे कोई मतलब ही नहीं है उसको.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank
the
you.
super
Thank you.
top
Thank
up
you so much.
policy, the insurer who's giving you super top up. I think my voice is echoing. Someone is on the speaker actually. Uh, yeah, the company who's giving you a super top up. What Manish is trying to say is the company who's giving super top up does not care whether you have another policy or not. It was just going to do a calculation where they will subtract the deductible from the annual expenses that you have made and then basically evaluate the policy. That's all it will do. The base, whether you're claiming from the base policy or not claiming from the base policy, is none of the business of the insurance company which is giving you super top up, right? Before we take more questions, Vishwanath, I'll take your question and then we will go forward and then we could do a separate question and answer separately. Yeah, Vishwanath, you could ask your question and then you can go forward. You'll have to unmute. Hello. Okay, we are short time, so I'm going to take Vishwanath your question a little later. My second question, and this is something that came up in our last webinar and something that we wanted to cover today. And this is something that was discussed. I think Nikhil Kataria was the person who had raised this issue, and he was there in the beginning of the call. I think he's not there right now. But the question that came up was that should one consider restoration benefit when factoring the cover that you have, right? Are recommending to a client. For example, if I have a 10 lakh cover and the policy gives restoration and it is the best restoration, the newest generation new restoration option, which is basically covering for related illnesses, covering for partial illnesses, partial exhaustion of the sum insured, also covering for unlimited number of times that the restoration option can be used. In that scenario, the policy that restoration, the company that is giving these kind of policies are basically saying that you could make unlimited claims up to the sum insured in every year that you have a policy, which is basically means that if you have a 10 lakh cover and you want to, whenever it gets exhausted or is even partially exhausted, every claim you can basically every hospitalization you can claim up to the entire sum insured amount, because it will keep restoring itself based on whether it's related or not related, whether it's a partial exhaustion or a full exhaustion, or it is basically used once or used multiple times. So the another thing that we wanted to talk about, and this is something which is very, very important for all of us to understand, is in such scenarios, in effect, a person is getting unlimited claims to make in a year up to sum insured, right? So in such scenarios, should you go for a sum insured which is factoring such kind of restoration options and reduce the sum insured, or you should go for a larger cover? The case in point, I'll give an example so that it becomes easier. There is last time this example was discussed that usually I recommend a 30 lakh sum insured cover, which is basically a 15 lakh cover each for every adult in the family. So if there are two adults in the family, I will usually recommend a 30 lakh sum insured policy or a floater policy. That is how I go about it. The point that came last time, and this is something that we wanted to discuss at length, is there was someone who raised this point last time, is that if a policy gives unlimited restores and also covers for related illnesses, and also covers for partial exhaustion, it in effect means that you can actually take a 15 lakh cover instead of a 30 lakh cover and make multiple claims in a year, which in effect will give you a 30 lakh cover that another insurance policy would give, which does not have this benefit, right? So all these policies provide a 15 lakh sum insured cover for every claim, right? And hence, do we go for a lower sum insured whenever such policy is being taken by a client or recommended to a client? Is my question. Would anybody want to volunteer to answer this question? Is anybody has any views about this? Uh,
Mahavir, Anuj here.
yeah,
Yes, in fact, so Max Pupa reassure with safeguard, that's a great plan. And so fundamentally, that's the proposition of the company, right? That we will do related illness, unlimited restoration in the same hospitalization. So
correct.
you exhaust, I will replenish immediately. So you don't even need to wait for the next hospitalization and then I will do the replenishment. So some of these things actually support the idea that you do not need a very high cover. But funnily, again, Max Pupa has a 1 crore cover also, and then this kind of plan. So these are, I think, choices. The way you and I had different opinions to look at the same thing, I think. So that diversity is the most important point. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And so the way people want to structure their safety net, I think having these kind of options are great. Max Bubba reassures with safeguard, I think, is a fantastic proposition. The second question that you asked, right? So it solves the problem. You don't need to really have a high cover. And to my advisor friends here also, that when you're saying 30 le lo, 30 le lo, 15 lakh ka 100% NCB is 30 lakhs. Okay, so why even say that your SI has to be 30 when your SI can be 15 with an NCB of 100% or even 150% in some of the cases? That's point one. Now, another point is that at Beshak Forum, we have come across several complaints of consumers who are saying that, my premiums are becoming extremely unviable for me to pay. And we're not talking about people having like 15, 20 lakh ka cover. These are all 5 lakh, 3 lakh policy wal log.
Right.
And they're not able to even afford that premium at that age. And funnily, you are having a person starting at 5 lakh cover today. Now, assuming, matlab, everyone said कि यार जितना ज़्यादा हो सकता है ले लेना चाहिए and all that thing, there's a risk factor. But then there is also something that people agreed to कि younger age में utilization is going to be minimal. So think about it. You are sweating it out, you're putting your hard earned money for a 15, 30, 50 lakh cover, your utilization is going to be technically low. There is another point where your utilization will come. But आप 5 लाख की हालत देखो कितने मार्केट में बुड्ढे बैठे हैं इस समय. 5 लाख की पॉलिसी का 70-80 हजार का प्रीमियम में पे कर पा रहे हैं वो लोग, for which young people are right now buying that cover at 10-15 thousand rupees. Okay, so
Right.
आपका फ्यूचर अपने को दिख रहा है that we buy 30 lakh cover today because वो अपनी सैलरी में आ रहा है. But when we are at that age जहां पर incidence rate is going to increase, घंटा नहीं पैसा होगा अपने पास प्रीमियम पे करने के लिए. So
Right.
indemnity as a concept has significant restrictions. Okay, and that's where I would like my friends to also understand कि indemnity is all about spread. सो जब स्प्रेड मारना है आप क्या बोलोगे कि अच्छा ठीक है यार फिर बुजुर्ग को घुसाने क्यों इसके अंदर, स्प्रेड खराब होता है मेरा. सो डू समथिंग. We say healthcare costs are not regulated. Boss, premiums also are not regulated. Insurance companies are charging left, right, and center for that this thing. Premium acceleration, as a term that I use, age-wise jump, that band-wise jump, sorry, age band jumps that happen, it's not regulated. So anybody could be charging or jumping any rate that they want, and there is a wide variation in the industry. I mean, I've done that comparison. I've looked at 30 years total cost of premium if I have to put that money today itself, assuming only age band acceleration, and not assuming other kind of price, hikes that happen on the premium. It is unviable. Please
Yeah.
understand, indemnity is unviable. So you are
Anuj,
right. आपके
yeah,
intent सही है, but
sorry.
long term 30 years it doesn't make sense.
No, no, no. So, Anuj, you are talking about a scenario which is happening today. We can always take those learnings to ensure that we create a corpus which will allow us to pay for either the premiums or the hospitalizations. It does not become a dark picture, like, at least that is my view, that nobody ever will be able to afford a health insurance at the age of 70, right? There are two reasons why this is important for people to understand. And one of this is that, first, if we are aware of this today, that today there are senior citizens who are not able to afford it, what is the reason why they are not able to afford it? The reason is that they do not have the wherewithal to pay for it. That is the question. The question is, if we don't have a wherewithal, at that time, are you going to compromise on your healthcare? If you don't, you drop off from a health insurance. The people who have dropped off from their health insurance, are they are going to be people who will compromise on the quality of healthcare that they will need in the when the need arises. Is that why we are buying health insurance? No, right? The reason we are buying health insurance largely is to ensure that basically healthcare expenses at the age when you are old are covered. And for that, if that has to be covered well, you will either have to create a corpus, you will either have to be able to afford health insurance, or you will have to do a combination of both the two. But to say that health insurance is unviable is, then there is no point of this discussion, right? What do you do then? You create a healthcare fund and you don't take insurance. That is what you're saying.
नहीं नहीं महावीर, मैंने तो देखो, आई हैव नॉट पेड प्रीमियम एट द एज ऑफ 70. आई एम रिस्पॉन्डिंग टू द मार्केट. ना मार्केट के अंदर पीपल हु आर ड्रॉपिंग ऑफ एट द
But that
ओल्डर
is a
एज,
learning,
दे
na?
स्पीक टू
That
थिंग्स. मैं बता रहा हूँ
so
आपको. सो देर आर
no, no,
टू
I
थिंग्स
am
दैट
cutting
पीपल
you
से.
there. I am
हाँ.
cutting you there to ask you this question. That is not something that needs to get repeated. It can always be something where someone can learn from this, like we can learn from this and create plans to ensure that we are either able to A, afford premiums, or B, we are able to afford healthcare. One of the two will have to be done.
Correct. That's why I said the
What?
cash component is important so that you blend it out. Because think about it, people are not only dropping out because they can't afford, because they're saying यार 5 लाख के कवर के लिए 80,000 90,000 का प्रीमियम देना तुक्की नहीं बनता है. 5 लाख के अंदर मैं दे दूं, 5 साल में दे दूंगा. 20 साल से प्रीमियम देता आ रहा हूं, तो सारा साफ हो गया. मैंने आज तक क्लेम नहीं डाला उसके अंदर, अभी भी नहीं डाला आज तक. भाई 80,000 मांग रहे हैं 5 लाख के कवर के लिए. बट डजंट मेक एनी सेंस. आई कैन अफोर्ड
So,
बट डजंट मेक एनी सेंस बिकॉज इट्स सो
yeah.
सिग्निफिकेंटली हाई. ये मैथ बोलते हैं लोग यार.
I,
मैंने नहीं पे किया
I,
अभी आज तक, मैं तो रिपोर्ट कर
नहीं,
रहा हूँ
नहीं.
फोरम का
So,
सारा.
I am paying premium today for my father for the same amount that you just mentioned, and I'm paying the similar kind of premium for my father. It is basically it is an approach, right? Someone could decide that, boss, according to me, I don't want to pay 5 lakhs. I'm okay paying this premium of whatever 40,000, 50,000 rupees to ensure that, when the claim comes, I am not going to have it. I don't have to compromise for my parents' healthcare, right? And there will be people who will say that healthcare compromise होगा तो चलेगा, मुझे नहीं होने वाला कुछ भी. Those are people who then have not understood the concept of insurance, is what I would say.
तो मैं आपको एक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट बताने वाला हूँ. सो देर इज एन एक्सेल वर्क दैट आई डिड over a 25-year period. The sum total of premium that we pay, by the way, today rates, it will increase anyways, but I'm saying today आज का रेट पकड़ के चलते हैं. So over a 25-year period, for an X amount of SI, sum insured, you will end up paying X amount as premiums in a 2.5 decade period. So a
What is
blended
X premium?
strategy. एक्स प्रीमियम मतलब आप 5 लाख का कवर लेके बैठे हो, तो आपका 5 लाख का प्रीमियम का खर्चा हो जाएगा ओवर अ 25-year पीरियड.
No, but
ओके.
then there is a very big flaw in what you're saying. 5 lakh is not the cover that you're getting. For that 25 years, you have a 5 lakh into 25 years ka cover. You get a cover every year. This is not term insurance that you get one claim in a year, in your lifetime. This is a cover that where you get multiples. A person could get hospitalized every year and every year claim 5 lakh rupees.
नहीं, मैं आपसे एग्री कर रहा हूं, मैं आपको आपके सवाल का जवाब दे रहा हूं कि
So it becomes profitable
व्हेन इट
ना.
बिकम्स.
अगर मेरे को 4 क्लेम आ गए 5 लाख के,
हाँ.
अब मैं आज की एज में नहीं आए, बट मेरे को 40 की एज से लेके 60 की एज तक अगर मुझे 4 क्लेम आ गए 5 लाख के, फिर वो रिटर्न हो गया.
हाँ. नहीं,
तो
मैं कुछ और पॉइंट
वो
बोल रहा हूं.
ओके.
मैं ये बोल रहा हूं कि बाय द एज दैट it is making sense, it is affordable, since you will be retired after age. I'm giving a blended strategy here, that since you're not going to have that much of cash to pay the premium, there will come an inflection point where you'll say कि यार ठीक है, अब यहां से I cannot afford that SI क्योंकि प्रीमियम बहुत ज्यादा चला गया है, so I have to discontinue. बट मेरे पास SI भी नहीं रह गया है. So I am saying over a 25-year period, if you do a 2x of your premium, ठीक है, आज मैं 30 से स्टार्ट कर रहा हूं, अज्यूमिंग मैं 10,000 पे कर रहा हूं, सेम आइडिया कि यार वो 5 लाख का कवर लेने के बजाय 50 लाख का कवर ले लो. आई एम सेइंग 10,000 यहां पे डाल रहे हो तो 10,000 का या 20,000 का एक अगर आप हेल्थ एक्सपेंस का पोर्टफोलियो बनाते हो, you invest into any liquid funds or whatever the case may be, you will have some money at the end of the road which will at least have SI for you whenever you use it, but at least premium आप afford नहीं कर पा रहे हो तो कोई दिक्कत की बात नहीं. You'll have that money
What do you
for
mean
the
by
SI to
SI?
continue. Sum insured, sum insured.
अरे बट ओके ठीक है, नो नो, वी आर गेटिंग इनटू अ वेरी डिफरेंट डायरेक्शन. वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट
हाँ
राइट
ठीक है.
नाउ, we are not talking about how the person, you are basically saying that someone will be able to save right now so that he can stop his health insurance later, right? Is what you're saying.
When it becomes unaffordable वो मतलब he will be thrown out of the pool कि यार तुम प्रीमियम नहीं पे कर पा रहे हो. That way I'm
Guys,
saying.
इसमें Mahavir and Anuj, I have one point. I think health
Right.
insurance में what is going to happen is that one section of people will be
Hmm.
benefiting. I mean, they will be able to claim much more than what they have paid. One section will be where they will be at a loss, where what they will not be able to claim at all जो उन्होंने पे किया है. So I think Anuj is talking about one section of people. Insurance वो
Yeah,
हमें पता नहीं है ना कि फ्यूचर में क्या होने वाला.
but then insurance is supposed to work like that only. The healthy will
Yeah,
obviously pay premium for the ill, but it is with the fact that everybody knows the fact that there will be people who are right now healthy could become ill later, right? So
exactly.
that is the
नहीं नहीं
whole
मैं
concept of insurance. Yeah,
मैं
yeah.
सिर्फ एक पॉइंट बोल रहा हूँ कि ऐसे बहुत सारे लोग होंगे जहाँ पे व्हाट अनुज इज सेइंग उनके लिए, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल इफ आई टॉक अबाउट माई सेल्फ, मैंने अभी उतना क्लेम कर लिया है जितना मैंने पे ही नहीं किया है. मैं 10,000 पे करता हूँ 10 लाख के कवर के लिए, 7-8 साल के लिए पे कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन मैंने ऑलरेडी डबल कर लिया है, तो मेरे को तो बहुत आराम है कि अरे चलो 10 साल और पे कर दे. तो ऐसे भी लोग हैं, प्लस उल्टे ऐसे भी लोग हैं जो 10 साल से पे कर रहे हैं, उनको उनको बहुत ऐसा लग रहा होगा बुरा कि यार मैं तो कवर ही नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ इस चीज को, तो मैं
But that
निकल
is the
जाता.
mentality. So that's why
या
the mentality is wrong, right? We are
या
looking at insurance like a money back policy or an LIC policy,
करेक्ट
which is the myth,
करेक्ट
which is the thing that needs to change. Insurance is a kharcha. You have paid and you bought peace of mind for your
करेक्ट
financial any kind of financial disruption that happens, right? So
करेक्ट
that
करेक्ट
I
करेक्ट.
think it definitely needs to change. Okay, I'm
या
going to the next question. My next question. So the question has not been answered. What we are basically trying to ask, and Manish, if you want to answer this, that restoration, when calculating a cover, and specifically the restoration options that now are available, which are the best of the options, where everything is covered, and it's literally saying that for as many number of claims you can make up to the sum insured, right?
या
In that kind of a scenario, have you ever thought of saying that, okay, if this is the kind of option that is available, then I might as well take a lower cover
नहीं, आई
for
थिंक
the
when
client, for the client?
in the last discussion we had, I told this, and again I will say this, that we don't recommend that. मतलब वो बोनस की तरह we can look at it, because एक सिटिंग में एक ही हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन में बहुत लंबा खर्चा हो सकता है ना. और रिस्टोरेशन का बेनिफिट आई थिंक इन मोस्ट ऑफ द पॉलिसीज इज आफ्टर इट इज एग्जॉस्टेड और आफ्टर द क्लेम इज सेटल्ड देन इट विल किक इन. बट एक सिटिंग में मेरा 20 लाख का 25 लाख का खर्चा हो गया वर्स्ट केस में, तब क्या होगा? सो
Correct.
आई विल से नो. आई थिंक अनुज मेंशन जस्ट नाउ दैट this reassure policy will pay even in the same hospitalization. I don't know if that is true or how it works, because then
No, it
उसका तो
doesn't.
मतलब
It
ही नहीं रह
doesn't.
गया. मतलब उसका तो 10 लाख
No,
की पॉलिसी है, उसका मतलब ही नहीं है, वो तो अनलिमिटेड हो गया एक तरह.
no. Reassure will not pay for the first claim, and it does not. It will. It basically pays maximum up to the sum insured. So even it does not pay a maximum up to the sum insured plus bonus. So in these kind of scenarios, what
हाँ,
you said is right. Is that let's
yeah,
say if there is a 15 lakh cover, then the maximum claim that one sitting में हो सकता है in one hospitalization cannot be more than 15
correct,
lakhs. That's clearly
correct,
mentioned in the policy wordings.
correct, correct. और प्रोबेबिलिटी वाइज तो वो सेंस नहीं बनता ना. मतलब प्रोबेबिलिटी वाइज देखेंगे तो एक ही साल में मैं कई क्लेम करूं, ये तो बहुत ही आउटलायर केस है. ऐसा
Right.
जनरली कहाँ होता है?
Right.
मैंने आज तक एक भी इंसान से मैं नहीं मिला हूँ जिन्होंने टॉप अप बहुत अच्छे से क्लेम किया है. होंगे, बट आई हैव नॉट सीन, इट इज वेरी रेयर.
Right, right. Now, the other thing that I wanted to ask is, and I just add a point to this, is that as far as possible, even if you're not able to afford a cover immediately, or clients are not able to afford a cover immediately, there is always a recommendation that I would give, or my suggestion, or I would have done if I was a financial advisor, is the importance of reviewing the cover regularly, right? every 2 years, every 1 year, every 3 years, whatever is the frequency you want to go for. But important, there is a very important need that we keep reviewing the cover of clients and understanding whether there is a need for an upgrade, whether the person's financial capability has increased, his affordability has increased so that he can buy a larger cover, or whether there is a reason why the cover has been kept low in the past and now basically needs to be increased. That's something that I wanted to impress upon the people out here. There was one more point that we wanted to discuss was around NCB, and this is Anuj. Anuj has been talking about this very strongly, that NCB available hai, and that is a part of the coverage, and hence uh, you can go for a lower cover. You don't have to go for a bigger cover because that will be a buffer that will always be available, right? But what happens in a scenario where someone falls significantly ill and needs multiple hospitalizations over a span of multiple years, right? In those kind of scenarios, how does a NCB, because NCBs have become in the range of 50%, and in my view, that is actually a negative, because when a NCB is very high, as much fast the NCB will grow, at the same speed it will also drop, right? So in case I was young and I was able to increase my NCB by 2x in 2 years, at the same time when I'm old, when I'm actually going to make claims and I make repeated claims, my sum insured will also reduce by half in the same speed which I earned when I was young, right? So in that scenario, does anybody have any views about that? And then we will also go to the questions from LK, Satish, and Kryptonite. So my question basically is, should NCB be considered as a part of your coverage or not be considered as a part of your coverage? Look at bonus as bonus, right? Or look at bonus as uh, a- a- look at bonus as bonus. When I mean, what I'm trying to say there is that look at bonus as something that is available but can go away, and hence don't look at it seriously. Look at it as a buffer available in your plan, or look at bonus as a part of your strategy and calculation of sum insurance. That is my question.
Mahavir,
Yeah.
I personally think that the answer should be somewhere in the middle. It cannot be a
Okay.
strong yes or a strong no, but
Right.
somewhere in the middle. But
Right.
I see it, as I said, it is somewhere yes as part of your sum assured, but it is fluid, right? It can go up and down. So if a person needs a 20 lakh cover today, if the need is 20 lakh, I won't say that 10 lakh ले लो NCB से हो जाएगा. I would say 20 लाख ले लो आप ताकि आपकी नीड पूरी हो जाए, और जो एनसीबी है उससे आपका कम से कम अगला 5-10 साल 15 साल निकल जाएगा. लाइक वो फ्यूचर का
Right.
एक एडिशनल बेनिफिट मिलेगा. आई वुड लुक एट इट दैट वे. और फिर फ्यूचर में आफ्टर 5 years व्हेन आई रिव्यू माई रिक्वायरमेंट एंड इफ आई कम टू नो कि अच्छा अभी 20 नहीं अभी 30, आज के 2030 में अगर मुझे लगेगा 30 की जरूरत है तो मैं 20 को 30 कर दूंगा इफ इट इज अलाउड बाय द
Okay.
कंपनी.
Okay. So you basically are saying, in short, what you're saying is that for you, bonus is like a buffer which you don't basically consider as a part of the core cover. You basically look at it
मैं
as
मैं
a
बोला
buffer.
ना स्ट्रॉन्ग यस और नहीं है, समवेयर इन द मिडिल है.
Right.
बहुत टफ है वो एक्सप्लेन करना, बीच में है वो. मानता भी
Right.
हो नहीं भी मानता हूँ वैसा.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
या
my views have always been that look at bonus as a bonus, because the bonuses that are available today can give you a lot of high cover in the long run, in the short run, but it can also be taken away because of multiple claims over multiple years.
महावीर, वन
Uh,
पॉइंट हियर इज the
yeah.
the hospitalization, I'm assuming ki it will happen at a distance. I mean it will happen after few years. अगर हम probability wise
Okay.
देखें तो
Right.
अगर 30 साल का कवर है, मतलब 30 साल 15 सॉरी 25-30 साल में देखूं तो इट इज आई एम अज्यूमिंग कि जो हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन होंगे वो कुछ साल के डिफरेंस में होंगे, 3-4 साल बाद 5, तो वो रिप्लेनिश हो जाएगा ऑटोमेटिकली. दिस इज व्हाट आई एम अज्यूमिंग. बट
Yeah.
या
Yeah.
दोस रेयर केसेस आर ऑब्वियसली देयर जहाँ अगले ही साल कुछ अचानक से उतना ज्यादा हो जाए.
So I'll tell you my own parent scenario where my father started falling ill, and for multiple years there were different hospitalizations that were required to be carried out over a span of 3 to 4 years. Right, when he crossed 70, and between 70 to 74, he has now made every year he's made a hospitalization claim for different things, and that's why from that context I was basically saying is that bonus, because it's so high, it can actually go away very fast if it's a high bonus, and hence
True.
looking at it as a part of the cover may be very short term and it could help for a couple of years, but then you will
But
be with the base cover only.
that case which you are talking about is it how common it is across सीनियर सिटीजन? ये थोड़ा सा आउटलायर की कैटेगरी में ही आएगा ना? कितने
uh,
सीनियर सिटीजन हैं जो हर 3-4 साल में लगातार हॉस्पिटलाइज हुए
yeah,
ऐसे?
yeah, so
अगर तुझे
always matlab, I when I am looking at, and this is how I think of stuff, when I look at stuff, I look at it from a even look at it from a covering things which I have not been able to understand, and unknowns, right? And from that perspective, I may be okay, personally be okay with over coverage to ensure that all these outliers are covered instead of
okay,
paying from my own pocket at a given point in time. So that
okay,
is how
okay,
I
fair
have been
enough.
looking at it. Yeah.
Okay, okay, fair
Okay.
enough.
There were some people who had questions. Satish Kumar, I have allowed you
Uh,
to speak. You can unmute and speak.
yes, am I audible, Mr. Mahavir?
Yes, yes, yeah, you are
Yeah.
audible.
Good evening, everyone. I have views that I would like to share about the discussion that we are already, talking about the reassure benefit or restoration benefit. Should that be taken seriously, and should we compromise, this benefit with choosing higher sum insured, or simultaneously should we also take bonus as a component which is going to help us in the long run? First
Right,
and the foremost thing is that please understand that the lifestyle changes are happening in a very fast pace, and today's generation and the future generations are at a much larger risk of developing health disorders or lifestyle diseases than our previous generations. Point number one, medical inflation in India is skyrocketing. Right? It has always been in double digit growth, and it will continue to be so in future as well. Now, when we talk about restoration or a reassure benefit, assuming someone takes a 10 lakhs policy, and if he feels that any which ways I have a multiple restoration, so why rather go for a 30 lakhs or a 50 lakhs policy and compromise with the basic 10 lakhs policy itself? Is that please understand there has been several instances, at least in the recent past, where multiple members in the same family get hospitalized, not even with a gap of 1 or 2 days. All of them get hospitalized in a single event. Or there are scenarios where multiple members get hospitalized, especially if there is an accident involved with the entire family is requiring hospitalizations as such.
right,
So quite obviously, restoration, no matter how attractive it looks, yes, if the product has a restoration benefit or a refill benefit or a recharge benefit or a reassure benefit, that should only be considered as a bonus. If the product has, let's say, for example, I have decided to go with XYZ products. Between these three products, if I have a product which has better restoration benefit, weightage should always be given to that. But just because it gives multiple restoration, compromising on the sum insured may prove to be a very bad idea in the long run. So, point number one.
right,
Number two, quite obviously, bonus, as you rightly said, the more attractive the bonus, the more the danger in terms of losing the acquired bonus if there are continuous claims. So bonus, whether bonus should be taken seriously, it's actually like one of our panel members said. It's the answer is both yes and no. Again, a product which has a better bonus should be given a weightage, but considering that as a part of your insurance structuring when we talk to a customer should not be the sole point of discussion. So
okay,
today, if let's say someone who says that long run the premiums will increase over a period of next once the member reaches senior citizen age, affording health insurance might be very difficult. Yes, agreed, but that should not prevent the member from going for higher sum insured now, because you never know over the last in the next 30, 40 years anything could happen. There are a lot of clients of ours who repent having compromised with lower sum insured
yeah,
because
yeah,
there was a difference of nominal amounts as such. At a
right.
later stage, quite
So
obviously insurance, yeah,
yeah, Satish,
quite
sorry, I'm
obviously
cutting you.
insurance, I'm sorry sir, please.
Yeah, yeah. No, sorry, Satish. Because we're short of time, is there anything else that you want to talk about beyond
That's it,
whatever
these
you
are the
just
views that I just wanted
right?
to share.
So I'll tell you the main point of contention here, right? And I also subscribe to your view, but there is a different view that came up last time, and I think what that view was is that because now restoration is available in a different form. Restoration is now available in the form where you can make, like the example that you gave, in that you said that there could be multiple hospitalization that could happen in the same year because of the pandemic or because of an accident. In that case, now the new reassure or restoration options that are available from even an Aditya Birla and a Max Rupa and a lot of other companies is giving the option of even unrelated claims and related claims being paid. It's also allowing partial restoration. It's also allowing unlimited cases. In those scenarios, what happens is that for every claim and every hospitalization, you will have the sum insured available for making a claim in that specific hospitalization, irrespective of number of hospitalizations that happen in a year. In this scenario, I having a 30 lakh cover with two for two people. This is the exact example that was discussed last time. 30 lakh cover for two people. Instead of that, I having a 15 lakh cover for two people. It could actually work the same as far as all the hospitalizations that happen are below 15 lakhs. If every hospitalization that happens is below 15 lakhs, you would be able to make multiple claims in a year and hence be able to cover for even more than a 30 lakh cover, which does not have this restore option.
Well, that's a valid point, sir. But
Yeah, yeah.
what if there is a situation where a single hospitalization itself is beyond 30
Yes.
lakhs?
Yeah. So that scenario is not covered in this, obviously. So if you're talking about 30 lakhs, then someone who's buying a 30 lakh cover, someone thinks that there is a 30 lakh is the cover that person should take. Then what they could do is that they could take a floater and then
Correct.
take a such kind of a restore option instead of taking a 60 lakh cover for two family members, two adults. That is the thought process. The thought process is that if you think it is 30 lakhs, which is the highest cover that is going to happen over a period of 30 years from now, then you buy a 30 lakhs floater instead of buying a 60 lakhs floater for two family members. You buy a 30 lakh floater because in the scenario of reassure or restore, it will still work for multiple claims of 30 lakhs each. Uh, hope this was clear. The idea here, the idea is that which is better, right? And my view has always been that buying a higher coverage is better and not considering restore is definitely a better option. Restore should be considered as an added benefit, like you mentioned. But this was a discussion that happened last time, and so I tried to basically explain this is a perspective which we can mull over beyond this webinar or this call. It's just that this is something which is very very interesting and can be thought of. Anybody else has
Ma-
any questions? We can we take
Ma-
Rohit?
Mahavir, I just want to ask one thing. Is there a
Yeah.
way to get data about all these things, claims data, in any
Yeah.
way
No.
through
Uh,
through
uh,
RTI or by any way, that how many out of 100 policies sold, how many super top up got activated, how many times restoration
Yeah,
got
so
activated? What?
restore last time Satish was there on the call and he said in a year there are about Max Bupa has seen only 35-40 restoration options that have been opted for, right? So given that Max Bupa's data was shared by Satish last time, Satish KV,
Huh,
and
huh,
he had said around. So today actually, because people are taking adequate cover, people who are buying Restore are taking adequate cover, there is a good chance that Restore will not be able to see the usage of Restore very very soon, right?
yeah, yeah.
People who have taken a smaller cover today and are depending on Restore are the people who will be able to
But
basically
we can't get
use Restore.
industry wide data, right? There
Today,
is no way
today, even
also.
if you today, even if you get the data, it's going to be about people who have taken a smaller sum insured. We are right now talking about scenario where people have adequate sum insured and then also restored, right?
No, I'm just asking, if we get the data, we can do better analysis, because right now we are saying, let's assume. If we have the data, we can see what has happened in the past,
But
at
what
least
is
in
the
the last
problem?
five.
The problem with healthcare is that we can't take past data and actually make an analysis of what is going to happen in the future, right? What
That's
Satish
true.
Kumar just mentioned, that the way
Hmm.
healthcare is moving and the sedentary lifestyle, the medical inflation, and all of the things that he mentioned, which all of us are aware of, you look at that and we really don't know. And the kind of the pandemic that happened is also gives us a kind of a signal that the world in the future we don't know how it's going to change or
Correct.
how it is going to impact in terms of healthcare expenses.
Yeah, makes sense.
Whether
Makes sense.
past data will help is also something that is not I'm not very clear whether it will be useful, but I will try to check from people around if there is some data.
I think Anuj
Eh,
will be able to give better data because he handles these kind of cases on a
yeah,
day-to-day
we'll
basis.
come. We'll come to that.
Okay.
LK, you have a question. LK, would you like to ask your question? Sorry, you've been waiting for a good time. LK, you'll have to unmute and then ask your question.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Hel- Yeah, yeah. So I have a few points to some of the points which I collated about after this discussion. So some of the panelists they were discussing about premium acceleration. I think it's not about affordability or any other factor. I think it's more about insurance companies. They have made a clear strategy because they want to kick out people who are senior citizens because they don't want to lose on their profitability. For
No, no,
example, it all
that is fine. We are talking about strategies here, LK. So, what is the
yeah,
strategy
yeah,
that you want to ask questions on, or what is the point that you're trying to
yeah,
make? We all understand this, and obviously,
yeah,
it's something that you've mentioned about it last time also, that
yes,
insurers are trying to raise premiums for senior citizens so that they
yes,
don't remain in the book. Yes, agreed.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
what is the strategy that you're talking about?
See, the strategy is it's anyone, for example, someone who is 30-year old and now for a period of 30 years pays a premium. But if this insurance company suddenly increase that premium, so what strategy we can? Yeah, we can only do with this we as I agree with Anuj that we can save some cash or some emergency funds, but what is the strategy we can make out of these insurers because they are kicking out senior citizens so it's not about affordability they have made because in name of revising products they are continuously increasing every 2 to 3 years they give you a notice that we are revising this particular product we are increasing features in this product and when we are increasing premium it all started with psus so a few years back, there were products like linked with different PSUs. Now they have become so high. For example, a 20,000 premium around 3 years back. Now they are charging 80,000. And PSUs like New India, Oriental,
So,
and
what is
National Insurance. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So this is your
yeah,
observation, LK. I'm sorry
yeah,
I'm cutting you
yeah.
because we are already out beyond our time and schedule.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Sorry for that. But what I'm basically
yeah.
trying to ask is that this is the reality, right? All of
Yes,
us
yes, yes.
know that health insurance companies want to survive. All of them will get listed tomorrow. And
Yeah.
because they will be listed, they will obviously focus on the shareholder, and hence premiums are going
Mhm.
to rise. Healthcare
Yeah.
inflation also is not going to go down. Now, no health insurance premiums are going to go down.
Mhm.
Customers, that our clients finally have to have good healthcare, right? And if they need
Yes.
good healthcare, they will need to
Yeah.
survive, they will need funds. It could be from insurance, it could be from cash. My view has
Okay.
always been that you need to look at it in both the scenarios. You need to look at having a health insurance, and you need to also create a fund of your own,
One of
with
your
a
own.
view that while we all of us make an issue out of this, at a certain point in time, I am very hopeful because I have seen the regulations change from the time when IIDA started till now. I am of the view that there will be something or the other that will come up in the next 5 years, which will cap insurers being able to increase premiums so significantly over year for a certain number of certain age or category of people, right? It cannot be that this kind of a free run can happen for a long time. Someone or something or maybe a forum will have to be created, or people will have to come together, and this will basically get solved. It's only about IDA basically awakening to this, like you said. But for that, there will be a need for a lot of consumer forums and a lot of people coming together and raising this issue, right? I am very positive based on my past experience that this in the next 10 years will get resolved. It cannot happen that forever insurers will have the right to change premiums year on year after they've completed 3 years of their existence,
Okay, okay, okay.
the product's
And
existence.
yes, yes. Another thing I want to make about behavioral aspects of claim. As someone said that anyone giving premium for X number of years, they want to claim for that. I think as advisors, we have a duty to assess our clients and customers and give them we have to change their behavior aspect. So it's
Exactly.
not only about this health insurance is not only about claims. So I
Yes.
think it's more about like whether you are healthy or not. So
Right.
no one wants to go to hospital and spend 5 or 10 lakhs because he wants
Correct.
to spend, he wants to take that claim. So I think this particular, I think we need a behavioral change in our customers, and as advisors, as Beshak Forum, we have to work on this aspect also, because
Absolutely.
yeah, organizing these seminars, organizing these chats, they're okay. But I think unless and until we change the behavioral aspects of clients, customers, or as a industry as a whole, I think there is a big gap. So we need to
everything
change it. And
everything
I
starts
yeah,
everything starts with a small step, LK.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we'll have
yes,
to
yes,
basically go step by step, and
yeah,
once we have a large community, all these things can be taken up, right? We need to become
yeah,
a force where people will listen to us. Rohit
yeah.
Dingra, you had raised your hand. Do you want to ask something or make any point, Rohit?
Hi, sir.
Hi,
Good
Rohit.
evening, everyone. Yeah. So, just one point in terms of the amount of coverage. This is something that I've so the same question comes to me at times, when we visit clients. And one thing that I tell them is that I give them my own example where I tell them that I have told my wife, if my hospital bill is over 30 lakhs, you switch off the ventilator. So you have to think of a number where you want to switch off that ventilator and take cover of that amount. And of course,
Hmm.
10 to
Very
15 lakhs is a
difficult.
base cover, and on top of that, you take a super topper. The other thing that I've often told clients is the day you start paying for your insurance premium, start investing for your future premiums
Right.
in a SIP.
Interesting.
So this is something that I've advocated. Some of the clients have started. Some of them still feel, oh, इसी करने ही कैसे होता. But then, yeah, something that I practice when I meet clients.
Understood. Understood. Yeah. So the first point that you made, Rohit, is kind of emotional, right? While we will all do that and tell our family members that don't spend money on me when I'm on a ventilator, but uh, we would not be there to make that call, is my view. I totally agree with what you just mentioned. It's super practical, and I would actually think about implementing this myself with my family. But yeah, I'm also thinking of a scenario where family members take this decision and you are not there to take that decision. That's one. And the
महावीर
second point
उसमें
that you,
प्रॉब्लम, महावीर इन
हाँ,
दैट द प्रॉब्लम इज, वो थ्योरी में बहुत अच्छा लगता है, वो होगा नहीं रियल लाइफ
exactly.
में। रियल लाइफ में वो होने वाला नहीं है।
हाँ,
कौन?
because your family will try to save you, right?
हाँ,
That's what you're
अरे
saying. Exactly.
फैमिली छोड़ो,
Exactly.
डॉक्टर डॉक्टर बचाएगा ज्यादा कि भाई इसको, और मर गया तो निकल जाएगा हॉस्पिटल से, 4 दिन और बचाओ इसको।
हाँ, तो एग्जैक्टली दैट इज ऑल्सो एब्सोल्युटली वेरी गुड पॉइंट। सो हाँ, तो पॉइंट यही है कि इट्स अ वेरी वेरी गुड इनपुट, रोहित, बट प्रैक्टिकली वेदर इट इज and it's very practical also, but in the real life whether people will actually do that is something which obviously remains to be, I hope it never happens, but for people who are saying this, let's say if it happens, it's very difficult, like what Manish is saying. Anybody else? I think we've like gone too ahead of our time schedule. If there is one last question or remark that anybody wants to make, I will. We can do that, and then we can close.
Hi, Mahavir, are you able to hear me? This is
Yes, yes,
Avinash.
Avinash. Yeah, hi,
Okay,
Avinash.
so I think it was a good discussion with varied viewpoints from
Right.
brokers and all
Your
the
voice is
others.
cracking actually, Avinash.
I Yeah, kind of. I'm in a traffic. So, anyways, I'll just try to complete it so short. So, while I agree with most of the views, the thing about this restoration and no claim bonuses is that uh, while they seem attractive and also beneficial at times during those rare scenarios, you also need to think that the plans can change anytime. Like the insurance companies can change their plans, remove these benefits after a couple of years when they think it's unfeasible. And also, there are things like, okay, there's a good plan in HDFC Ergo now, but some other company can acquire HDFC Ergo and completely kind of change this plan or remove these benefits. So, uh, uh, I the no claim bonus and the restoration benefit, like you said, or even a few others mentioned, it should ideally be considered only as an advantage while choosing two similar plans,
Right.
not really as a standalone benefit. Um, and we should always have adequate coverage. And the main thing is, how do we know what an adequate coverage is? Like, if I am like 35 years old, how do I know uh, how much coverage should I take? Is it 5 lakhs? Is it 10 lakhs? Is there data available? Like Manish
Yeah,
asked,
that was
unless
covered.
there is
Yeah,
a
that was
date.
covered as a part of the discussion in the beginning. Yeah, Avinash.
Yeah, so
Uh,
that is one thing. And finally, the thing is that, like Anuj mentioned and even Rohit added at the end, while we have adequate or even inadequate health insurance coverage, we should always have that secondary cash fund, emergency fund, which can either pay for our health
right.
care or at least for the health premiums.
Right. No, so one point that you mentioned is a very, very good point is that everything in your policy can change except for your sum insured. Sum insured can become unaffordable, but sum insured cannot be changed. Like, for example, if an insurance company today is acquired by another insurance company or an insurance company withdraws a product and migrates to another insurance company, the features can change, everything can change, but sum insured will not change. And hence, the importance of having a very, very good core coverage is always going to be important, be it a base cover or be it a base plus super top up cover becomes very, very important. I agree with you on that. That's a very, very good input that Avinashu gave. The second point, obviously, the sum insured part that you mentioned is already covered. I think if you were not there at that time, we will be sharing the recording and you could have a kind of listen to whatever we discussed. I think there were varied views about that also, but yeah, it was a good discussion. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining in and staying back for almost 90 minutes. If you liked the the webinar that we did, the conversation that we had, do share the group with your family, friends, whoever is interested in also, such kind of knowledge sharing sessions where a lot of discussion happens. Thank you so much. It was great, all of you joining and sharing your thoughts. Bye bye.